What makes the Why Everyone Plays series different from Why No One Plays is that, as the name suggests, the reasons for a character's popularity should be self-evident. If you take the most broken fighters in Smash like Aegis or Steve, it doesn't take an in-depth examination to see why they're broken. The vast amounts of empirical data also highlight what makes them good. At least, that's how it is for most characters. As someone with a respectable yet not too exceptional of a rating in both Smash 4 and Ultimate, Ness has a surprisingly high amount of representation, even though we have yet to see one win a major. There have been a good number of results for him during the Wi-Fi era, but I personally don't consider that to be the most accurate demonstration of a character's full potential, for the simple fact that input delay in a Twitch-based game can skew the results of something quite drastically. Either way, Ness is a huge player base in all levels of play, but the reasons for why he's so popular aren't as conspicuous as they should be. So with the help of one of the best Ness players in the world, Syrup, let's find out exactly why everyone plays Ness. In Smash 4, Ness was ranked roughly in the middle of the pack, and considered by many as a low-high tier character. Certainly not someone who strikes fear into the hearts of man, but a respectable threat you should at least be privy to. What made things challenging for him was mostly the dominant characters during the latter years of Smash 4's meta, Cloud, Rosalina, Corrin, to name a few. Even so, come Ultimate, he received a ton of buffs across the board. Perhaps not on the same level as the likes of Roy, but just about everything got a tad bit stronger. Little more damage here, more range there, faster startup, what have you. The improvements along with nerfs to previous top performers greatly worked in his favor, allowing Ness to push past the threshold of good but could be better into a great character, a veritable high tier. He still retains much of the same weaknesses that prevent him from being a top tier, but his strengths are more pronounced. In a similar fashion to Wolf and Rob, Ness draws a lot of his popularity from being a character with a low skill floor yet very high skill ceiling. Someone with a digestible kit that can be applied at a very elementary level and can scale well into higher tiers of competition through adoption of more nuanced combos, neutral options, techniques, and gimmicks available at their disposal. Altogether, this allows for Ness to apply to many different styles of play, not having to commit to one specific win condition the way someone like Roy, who is exclusively about aggression, has to. Widespread receivability meant there was a huge pool of possible Ness means, and fortunately for him, he's good at keeping their attention once he gets it. Ness makes a commanding first impression at low and mid-level play, which has a ton of influence from a psychological standpoint. Most players lock into the first character they're drawn to as their main and stay on that character without really having to consider alternatives unless their hand is forced. Due to circumstance and Ness's own merits, his first impression is compelling enough to make players commit to maining him. Let's open with the circumstance part. While Ness definitely had some representation during the first full year of Ultimate 2019, the prevalence of sword fighters dominating the early metagame like Roy, Chrom, Ike, and Lucina, as well as other high-profile generalists like Palutena and Game & Watch, made it difficult for Ness to really stand out. They had more simplistic yet proportionally more effective strengths than him. Despite that, as a popular character in Smash 4, along with significant buffs during his transition to Ultimate, Ness had a few reps in the early days like Send, formerly Best Ness, and Gact. As we entered the online era, 2020 and early 2021 was a breeding ground for lots of new talent, and the ostensible boost to Ness's capabilities by way of increased input delay was just enough for him to be successful. Competitors like Send, Atada, Syrup, PK Chris vastly upgraded their execution and gameplay, which came in handy as we returned to in-person tournaments. While previously high-performing archetypes like sword fighters and generalists were still at large, the meta was gradually shifting into a more trap-heavy punish playstyle, and reckless aggression or autopilot neutral was just not gonna cut it. Ness happened to be one such character who, while at first may appear to not enjoy the advent of so many big swordies like Sephiroth and Aegis, had the right options and tools to take on some of the game's rising threats like Snake, Diddy Kong, Kazuya, Steve, and Sonic. So in a way, being a jack of all trades made it so he's meta-resistant, which I'll get into right now. So normally, being a jack of all trades works against a character's popularity, especially in Smash Ultimate where being a specialist allows you to gain more mileage in whatever field you excel at. But Ness is more of an XYZ jack of all trades, not really an ABC like Mario. Additionally, he comes with a lot of unorthodox tools that make it difficult to challenge him in a straightforward manner, while still possessing your textbook essentials that make for a viable fighter, altogether making him very easy to pick up and extremely rewarding to play just by using his basic gimmicks and bread and butters. To start, Ness has brawler frame data. He may not have the same rushdown speed as Falcon, ZSS, and Fox, or the same air physics as Wolf and Greninja, but he still has a frame data. Jab is frame 3, forward tilt is frame 7, up tilt is frame 5, down tilt is frame 3, dash attack is frame 8, up smash is frame 10, which makes it just good enough to be an added shield option, frame 5 nair, frame 8 forward air, frame 10 back air, frame 8 up air, stuff like that. Fast frame data is usually associated with a shorter animation time overall, such as landing or end lag, and generous auto-cancel windows. Shorter animation times mean you can mash on the character. Ness can throw out more attacks without worrying about being punished too heavily if he misses. Speaking of being forgiving, Ness has a ton of multi-hitters in his kit, notably disjointed multi-hitters. He falls into the same category as Game & Watch, where they don't necessarily have the reach to contest swordies, but are disjointed enough to outrange most of their close quarters competition and not have to worry about trading with them. Neutral air has a long-lasting hitbox covering all around him except above, and since he's a small character, that means it's a frame 8 add a shield option from behind and in front. His infamous forward air is a multi-hitter that can combo into itself, and thanks to his double jump and air drift, it has far better range than it should. Up air as well. Back air has 9 active frames, down air has 7. All of Ness's aerials have semi-long lasting hitboxes, hence why he's performed so well in Wi-Fi, where it's a lot harder to be precise with their standard 2 to 3 frame moves. Ness just has to estimate the general area where his opponents will be and the general timing of it, and the attack will hit, all while having great startup. Furthermore, his moves are all safe. Grounded moves are either above average in safety like forward tilt or very difficult to punish like dash attack and down tilt. Down smash's forward hitbox is -7 on shield, making it one of the safest down smashes in the game. Aerials also have respectable safety on shield across the board, hovering between -4 to -8. Not bad at all. I wouldn't go so far as to say any of these moves are particularly the best of their category, but from a score of 1 to 10, they're a solid 8.5 to 9s, well above average. Ness doesn't really have any bad normal attacks. None of these privileges come at the cost of kill power either. Far from it, Ness has Roy privilege. All of his moves, barring down tilt, have enough knockback scaling to where they will eventually kill, and I'm not talking about like sudden death 300%. I'm talking like these moves are hacks. Ness's neutral air, despite being faster than Wolf and Lynx, kills way earlier. Forward air kills at around like I think 110 off stage. Back air hits like a motherfucker. Up air also kills really well for some reason despite being a combo move. Bear in mind, these attacks are all fast, safe on shield, and have many active frames. His forward and up tilts also kill at reasonable percents, and lest you forget, he has an easy way to set up any attack he wants in the form of PK fire. I suppose while we're on the subject of kill pressure, Ness has by far the strongest back throw in the game, possessing enough knockback scaling to where I believe starting around 140, no matter where you are on stage, you're dead. So imagine playing a character who can kill you with any of his aerials at high percents that have lasting hitboxes and disjointed range. That would prompt most players to hold shield, allowing it to grab them for free. Having an instant win button in the form of a kill throw is usually endemic only to characters that many people consider bad. You know, like K. Rool, Dr. Mario, Zelda, Isabelle, and Incineroar, not really Avengers level threats. Someone actually made a chart on the strongest back throws in the game, and the gap between Ness and the second strongest character at center stage is like almost 30%. That's how stupid good Ness's back throw is. You know how many characters would become instant top tiers if they had this back throw? Ness is only balanced because he has average mobility and doesn't have a sword. So the reason I emphasize his back throw so much is because it allows Ness a wide range of option selection, tons of mix-up potential in neutral, advantage, and even disadvantage, courtesy of being a jack of all trades. In terms of neutral, he has PK Fire, not the best zoning tool in the game on account of having poor range, but it's good enough to where you can spam it to force opponents to approach him. He's also one of the few characters with anti-zoning tools, PSI Magnet to absorb any energy projectiles, and his baseball bat to reflect any physical ones. These elements can give Ness players a choice to play aggressive or campy depending on the situation. When you include his various movement tricks with PSI Magnet or B-Reverse PK Fire and PK Flash, he can mix up his approach options to whiff punish anyone who is a little too trigger happy with their attacks. Continuing on with option selection, Ness has a ton of random things that you would think are gimmicky but can cheese so many characters, most notable one being his infamous PK Thunder, a human projectile that has so much power it's virtually an insta-kill on anyone above 50% no matter where you are on stage. There's also his down smash, letting his yo-yo linger just below the stage for a brainless edge guard against anyone who has a mediocre recovery or stays on the ledge for too long. Furthermore, his up smash is a guaranteed neutral get-up punish. They may not be as practical, but their quirky nature is known to invalidate many cast members. Ness's mix-up potential extends to all facets of the game, including disadvantage. Prevailing wisdom more or less agrees that Ness's recovery is very exploitable due to PK Thunder not traveling very far, and also taking a while for the ball of thunder to circle back around to Ness. You would think this makes him very easy to 2-frame, but most experienced Ness players can delay their recovery enough to throw your timing off. He also has one of the best air dodges in the game, so you frequently see players doing that to return to stage. It's that unconventionality that brings me back to the point of having a strong first impression. Ness is especially good in low to mid-level play because all of those weird tools he has are really hard to contest or punish unless you know the Ness matchup really well, and those weird tools are good enough to still cover your pragmatic bases. When you think of janks or gimmicks, it's tied to bad characters like Piranha Plant or Villager, but Ness is a conventionally strong character with unconventional moves. Whether it's yo-yo edge guards and ledge traps, PK Fire, deceptively long-lasting and safe hitboxes, all of those weird movement mix-ups with B-reverses and whatnot, Ness has a lot of weird tech that can very easily intimidate and overwhelm inexperienced players and even experienced ones through sheer virtue of their implications. So while he is a straightforward character, Ness can be a matchup check. Let me give a few examples. First, with the yo-yo. Ness's up and down smashes have somewhat average kill power for smash attacks. Still very deadly mind you, but it's not Fox up smash or Wolf down smash. The lingering charge hitbox from Yo-Yo can spin things in a different way though. If he charges it on your shield, you run the risk of getting shield poked, and like I said earlier, the lingering persistent hitbox hanging below the ledge can straight up invalidate recoveries like Foxfire, requiring those who are vulnerable to it to find different means of recovery. Another one is his movement options. Ness is kinda like Snake. They both have below average speed, especially in the air, but a mountain of possible ways to change how they can maneuver around. Snake has 3 B reverses through his grenades, Nikita, and C4. Ness can alter his velocity through reversing PK Flash and PK Fire with his looping double jump and PSI Magnet. In low and mid-level play, hardly anyone is fully cognizant and prepared of these different options because no other jack of all trades has these forms of movement. You're never gonna really see a Wolf or Mario moving like Ness. There's also his recovery. Trying to edgeguard Ness is less cut and dry compared to others. Air dodging, using PK Thunder to attack his opponent before snapping to ledge, all the various ways you can delay or recover using PK Thunder. Once again, players at lower skill levels won't know how to punish him very consistently. Consequently, this means Ness can win a lot of sets for you purely because of lack of in-depth understanding on your opponent's part. Early results play a significant role in enticing players to lock in a certain character. That's probably why fighters like Sheik or Shulk have a small player base even though they're really freaking good characters. It takes a lot of work just to get them to a playable level. Ness on the other hand can get going even without that much investment. Now as you enter higher levels of competition, that's where the practical aspects of Ness come into play. You're obviously not getting as much mileage with your techs and gimmicks since top players are fully aware of them, but Ness is still a very strong character. Fast frame data, lots of options in neutral, strong advantage state, good kill power, a war crime back throw, lasting hitboxes. Doesn't matter how good you are at the Ness matchup, you still have to contend with those properties. Basically, Ness has a good balance of everything, but instead of being a 7 out of 10 in everything, he's more of an 8 out of 10. He's got the same matchup checky feel as your Piranha Plants, your Villagers, your Duck Hunts, your Ice Climbers, but unlike those guys who crumble to pieces once you figure them out, Ness is a bite to match his bark. It's a very linear skill curve for him that starts out strong and remains strong throughout all skill levels. That being said, he's still a jack of all trades. I consider him someone who is always a good choice, but never a great one. Don't misunderstand, the kid still has yet to show us the full extent of his capabilities, but the thing about generalists is that they're famous for being very consistent, but consistently the bridesmaid never the bride, so to speak. I might be wrong on this, in which case I'll have Cody correct me in post-editing, but Rob has yet to win a major. I'm pretty sure Wolf also has yet to win a major, Palutena hasn't won a major since Nairo at LMBM 2020 3 years ago, Mario hasn't won a major, although Kurama came very close. Same goes for Ness. Ness mains perennially make it to top 8 or top 16 at majors, but they're just not quite able to finish the job. Might just be due to there being so many of them, so every top player knows the matchup, just like how everyone knows how to fight Rob, Wolf, Roy, or Aegis at this point. Then again, that doesn't at all detract from Ness's popularity. So there you have it. Big shoutouts to my homeboy Syrup for the help. I had a ton of fun writing this video. Hope this was insightful to those who needed it and entertaining to those who wanted it. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to like and subscribe, really helps me out. Also follow me on Twitter at Vars, join my Discord server, and check out my other Why Everyone Plays episodes if you haven't yet. But till next time, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon in the next one. Take care.